Who's going to be that cap casualty that comes from the defensive line? We get into that on Thursdays, the Locked On Lions.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Matt Dery with you. It is a Thursday edition, Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network. Hope everybody's doing well, having a great day. It's like warm outside. It's like 53 degrees. Thursday, February 9th, and a Friday, February 10th. We're just a few days away from Super Bowl 57. We got the Chiefs. We got the Eagles. We get into that a little bit when we talk during the FanDuel read. But thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Lions today is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. You can find us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, D-E-R-Y Speaks, at Locked On Lions on Twitter, the Matt Dery Facebook fan page. And as always, you're watching us on the Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Please subscribe, please comment, please let me know what you think of the show, the topics, etc. It is appreciated. Coming up on the show today, Charlles Harris versus Romeo Okwara. You have to figure the Lions are going to get rid of one of them, all right, as a cap casualty. We'll get into all of the specifics coming up momentarily. Also, Aiden Hutchinson at the Super Bowl at Radio Row today. Talked to our buddy Dave Salfaro from PFF. You'll hear some of that audio as Hutch is excited for next year. Awards show tonight. Aiden Hutchinson is in Arizona for it, hoping to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. So we'll preview that. And Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, and Kevin Durant. What does that all mean? Why am I bringing that up? We'll talk about that too. Coming up momentarily here on the show. But Thursday, getting ready for Super Bowl. And then we're not going to have football for a long, long time. I know the USFL's Michigan Panthers are coming in April, but NFL football will go away for a little bit. So we got to get used to that. But I'm excited for Chiefs and Eagles this weekend. I'm not sure who's going to win. It's kind of a toss-up. Is Philadelphia right now as a 1.5-point favorite. All right, we've talked about this ad nauseum. A lot of optimism, a lot of positivity surrounding your Honolulu Blue and Silver Warriors, the Detroit Lions. But the Lions have about $14 million right now to spend. They're $14 million under the cap as far as a salary cap goes and for spending coming up this offseason. We got free agency, you got the draft, all of these things. We've talked about how the Lions can gain more salary cap space and who they can get rid of. We've discussed this before. Michael Brockers, Halapoulivaati Vaitai, maybe Quintez Cephas. We know Brockers is going to be gone, and that's going to free up about $10 million. So it would go from $14 to $24 million to spend. And the Lions certainly want to spend that money. You'd figure on a cornerback, maybe a linebacker like a Levante David. Do they make a trade for a corner like Jalen Ramsey and absorb his salary? But what about a right guard? All of these things are out there. What if DJ Chark was to come back? What kind of money would he command in free agency? What about Anzalone? All of these things. But you have to figure that the Lions for sure are going to get rid of Brockers and free up that $10 million to get from 14 to 24. But what are they going to do about Charlles Harris and or Romeo Okwara? All right, the Lions found something in James Houston, their 6th-round pick this past season. They're feeling good about Aiden Hutchinson on the other side as an edge rusher. John Kaminsky, you figure, would come back and wouldn't cost a lot of money, and he played pretty well as a rush and edge defensive end this season. They'll likely bring Julian Okwara back. They've got some options out on the edges, and of course they could always draft or trade for or pick up somebody. 2 years ago, Brad Holmes made a move that was pretty under the radar, but it worked and did very well. In the 2021 off season, going into the 2021 season, that was the pickup of Charlles Harris on a 1-year deal former first-round pick, played with the Dolphins and Falcons, didn't cost anything, and he blew up. He had 7.5 sacks in 2021. Played so well that the Lions threw at him a 2-year, something around $15 million contract to stay. Last year, he only played in 4 or 5 games. He got hurt, had a groin problem that was lingering all year, and did not live up to the 2021 billing. And so now he's going to cost you, if you were to get rid of him, it would free up $4 million to get rid of Charlles Harris, who again was somebody that Brad Holmes found. It was a Brad Holmes pickup, and he'll likely be healthy and ready to roll this year. But if you got rid of him, you would free up $4 million. On the other side, you wouldn't think that Brad Holmes would bring Charlles Harris back and Romeo Okwara back. So you have to figure one of them would be gone. Romeo was not somebody that was originally picked up by Brad Holmes, but Holmes decided to keep Okwara going into the 2021 season on a 3-year, $37 million contract. Holmes rewarded a Bob Quinn player with that kind of cash, knowing full well, Brad Holmes likes defensive linemen, that Romeo likely would have a good season, and was an up-and-comer at the time, was about 25 years old. And that's somebody that you had to keep because he had a really good year in 2021 with double-digit sacks. Then in 2020, excuse me. In 2021, Okwara tore his Achilles in week 14 and missed a lot of this past season. But when he got back and was healthy toward the end of this year, 2022, remember he had the 2-sack game against Zach Wilson and the Jets, started to come on a little bit and play better as the season wore on, but it took him almost a full year to rehab, tearing his Achilles. Romeo Okwara is only 27 years old, but if Brad Holmes were to get rid of him and cut him, it would save the Lions $7.5 million. It would free up $7.5 million. So if you release Charlles Harris, you'd free up $4 million. If you release Romeo Okwara, you free up $7.5 million. Romeo Okwara is really liked in that locker room. Veteran leader, only 27. And I think this wasn't a lingering injury. Charlles Harris had these groin issues this year. Romeo Okwara has a better track record. But again, does Brad Holmes think, well, I kind of found this diamond in the rough in Charlles Harris? He didn't do anything poorly this past season. He just got hurt at the start of the year and really never rounded back into form. Now, did he have a great first few games before the groin injury? No, he didn't. He was not the same player in 2022 that he was in 2021. What would I do? Even though Romeo Okwara, if you were to cut him, frees up more money, I think I would keep Romeo over Harris because of the track record, because of Romeo having more years of success, couple double-digit sack seasons, and still, he's only 27 years old. But this is an interesting decision for Brad Holmes coming up soon to see what he will do to free up money for free agency, which is pretty soon. So keep an eye on that. But those are sort of the pros and cons of those two maneuvers. All right, coming up next, Aiden Hutchinson speaks today at the Super Bowl. We'll tell you about that and listen to some of that coming up next from our buddies at PFF and our man Dave Silfaro. But first, LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. I've posted jobs on LinkedIn, and it's easy, hassle-free. They help you with some of the targeting tools and questions, and they're great. They go beyond resume data by using insights from your job post, our company, and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier to screen. They're the best. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. Do this for me. LinkedIn Jobs, go there now. Post your job for free. It's easy. At linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, so Aiden Hutchinson was making the rounds today around Radio Row and there at the Super Bowl. I can recall checking out Radio Row and doing, when I was at 105.1, we did 2 Radio Rows, actually. We were in New York for the Super Bowl there in the city, and then we went to Phoenix the next year and did our show from there. Myself, the legendary Tom Mazaway, and others. When we did the show in New York City, that was when I infamously asked Barry Sanders how he was doing personally after his divorce. It's a long story. But Barry was cool about it, thank God. But I think we had pizza every single day from Ray's Pizza every day when we were in New York from like Monday through Friday. We didn't stay for the game, but whatever. It's fun. Our buddy Dave Selfaro got a chance to talk to Aiden Hutchinson today. Dave from PFF, Pro Football Focus. And as I'm messing this up, let's take a listen to a little bit of Aiden Hutchinson, Lions defensive rookie defensive end. And he was on today from Radio Row with PFF. Take a listen.
It was a great way to end the season, man. We knew it was the end, but we knew if we beat them, that'd be their end too. So it was a great way to go out, man. You know, unfortunately, we couldn't make it to the playoffs, but the boys were rolling that day. And
the boys are rolling. I know there were moments in the season, Brock Wright up the sideline in MetLife.
Oh, yeah.
You obviously had the Lambeau game.
Yep.
Talk about kind of what you guys think will happen in Detroit next season. Obviously, you have Ben Johnson returning.
Yeah.
Talk about the energy returning in Detroit.
No doubt. I mean, I'm not one to make any predictions now, okay? But I think next year is going to be a real good year, man. I can feel it going into year 2. I feel like it's going to be a really good year all around for all the boys. We got everyone coming back. No one's really on a contract year, so having Ben Johnson back too for the offense, it's going to be fun, man. Man, it was a great way to end the season.
All right, there he is, Aiden Hutchinson with Dave Selfaro from Pro Football Focus. Thanks to PFF for supplying that audio. Aiden Hutchinson's the man. He really is. And he didn't go out of his way to make any crazy predictions, as he said. He was not pulling a Jamal Williams and predicting winning the NFC North, but you heard him say it. We're bringing everybody back. And it kind of had me thinking, like, is DJ Chark going to come back for less money? Is Alex Anzalone going to come back for less money? Is Jamal Williams going to come back for less money? Are all these guys committed to running this thing back again? You can't bring everybody back. I don't think Evan Brown is going to come back. I don't think all the cornerbacks like Mike Hughes and Oruwariye, all those guys are going to come back. I don't think Deshaun Elliott is necessarily going to come back because, quite honestly, the Lions have their safeties in Tracy Walker when healthy and Kirby Joseph. I could be wrong. But, you know, listening to Aiden there talk about, you know, the boys want to come back and there's not a ton of guys, even the guys that are unrestricted free agents, that are UFAs. What does that say about the culture of this organization? I can't believe I'm doing this, but I am. They all want to resign. Now, again, Brad Holmes can't, you know, if they cut Brockers, right, there's $24 million right there. Then you got to make the decision we talked about with Harris or Okwara. You got to still pay your draft picks. You got to go out and find some free agents from other teams. I don't know if Brad's ready to make a big splash on a Levante David or, like I said, a Jamel Dean or somebody like that. It was going to cost double-digit millions. But it is about a culture, a winning brand of football, the belief in the staff, and it's all there. And every single player keeps saying it. When did the Detroit Lions ever get hometown discounts? When did guys from other teams want to come to Detroit? All right, that is something needs to be said about what Sheila Hamp, yes, Rod Wood, I said it, Brad Holmes, Chris Spielman, Ray Agnew, John Dorsey, Dan Campbell, all of them have created here. It's pretty cool. So to hear Aiden say, let's run it back. No, you can't run it all back. I'm telling you, some guys are going to leave. Some guys are going to get cut. Some guys could be traded. You never know. Vitae. I mean, there's lots of guys that could be leaving. But I think the Lions have the best chance right now to retain some of their own free agents based upon what they've built and what guys want to accomplish in Detroit. There may be another team that calls Jamal Williams as agent that offers more money in more years. Same with Chark or whatever. But I think these guys all want to tell their representatives, make a deal done, get a deal done with Detroit, even if it's another one-year deal. That tells you something about the culture and where this thing is going. And it's mind-boggling because we're not used to it, but it's great. It really is. Now, Aiden Hutchinson is up for Defensive Rookie of the Year tonight. If you're watching this podcast on Thursday night, 9 o'clock NBC and NFL Network is the NFL Awards show. So Hutchinson is up for Defensive Rookie of the Year along with Tariq Woolen from the Seahawks, the fine cornerback, and of course, Sauce Gardner from the Jets, who I think is probably the favorite, but I think Aiden can win it. And then also Ben Johnson is up for Assistant Coach of the Year, joining D'Amico Ryans, who of course was the Niners D coordinator, now the Texans head coach, and Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator of the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. So good luck to Aiden and to Ben Johnson. Well-deserved accolades and a reason to watch the NFL awards that the Lions have a couple of representatives. All right, what about Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, and Kevin Durant? How am I going to intertwine that? I will explain coming up next. Got to tell you, though, about our friends at FanDuel, the #1 sportsbook in the NFL and just everywhere in America. And the only app you're going to need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel. We're excited. We have partnered with FanDuel here on the Locked On Network. And why do we do it? Because they're the #1 sportsbook in America. FanDuel, it is. And if you're new to FanDuel, it's even better. They got so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Free money. Let's do it. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. I saw over under 1.5 on coaches' challenges for the Super Bowl. 1.5. We'll see. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you get paid and get your winnings instantly. Again, join today at FanDuel.com/LockedOn to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so we saw this last night. NBA trade deadline. It was today at 3 o'clock. Pistons traded Sadiq Bey to the Hawks. They got James Wiseman back. I'm not breaking down the NBA trade deadline, but last night, late, and I was way asleep, Kevin Durant, KD, got traded from the Brooklyn Nets, I almost said New Jersey, from Iron Eagles, Brooklyn Nets, to the Suns for 4 first-round picks and Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. I think I'm leaving somebody out. Regardless, that was the trade. So it got me to thinking. I heard people talking about it today. They were trying to compare it to the Jared Goff trade. And they're like, well, the draft picks and everything else. And, the Suns, the Nets are going to get 4 first-round picks back. All these things. Has anybody noticed, Brad Holmes trading Matthew Stafford to the Rams and the Lions getting back 2 first-round picks, Jared Goff, and a 3rd-round pick. And the Lions used that 3rd-round pick last year to package picks to trade up to get Jamison Williams. Making a comparison between the NBA and the NFL and the Jared Goff and Kevin Durant, Matthew Stafford, and all these things, you can't compare it. You want to know why? Because the Lions are going to win that trade The Rams already won it. They won the Super Bowl with Stafford. They got what they needed out of Stafford. But it's not a comparison. Because, see, the Lions are going to take these first-round picks and that third-round pick. And those players really should help you. It's more likely they're going to help you than the 4 first-round picks that the Nets are getting back for Kevin Durant. Does anybody watch the NBA? Anybody paying attention to, like, NBA mock drafts? Right now, like top 10, you got like Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson. There's no players you've heard of. Now, I'm not saying Scoot and Victor won't be great, but you can't compare it because in the NFL, if Brad Holmes gets those 2 first-round picks, those guys should be high impact right away. All right. Last year we saw, that the Lions, able to get that pick. And again, they packaged picks to get Jamison Williams and all of that. But Jamison Williams is going to be a high-impact guy. This year's first-round pick, number 6 overall, should be a high-impact guy right away for the Lions. Can't say the same thing about these 4 future first-round picks that the Nets are going to get from the Suns. And if the Suns win the NBA championship or get close, that pick's going to be way down at the end of the first round where those guys in the NBA rarely make it. Or it takes them 4 to 5 years to develop. I'll take the Lions getting a haul of picks at the NFL level and getting Jared Goff all day than packaging all of these picks. I've seen all these NBA trades today, 5 second-round picks are going to the Warriors and all of this. It's a crapshoot those guys make it. Whereas when you're getting picks from the Rams and the Stafford trade, those guys are going to make an impact right away. Jamison Williams next year, and the only reason he didn't make an impact this year is because he was hurt. You see my point here? I'm all for accumulating picks at the NFL level. 5 in the first 82 this year for the Lions. Getting picks over from the Rams. Getting picks over from Minnesota for Hutchinson. Those players are going to make a difference. Can't guarantee that in the NBA. Not at all, even if it's double the picks. All right, we are back again tomorrow. We'll dive more into the Super Bowl tomorrow and preview that on tomorrow's Friday edition. Thanks for making us your first listen right here on this Thursday, Locked On Lions.